Madame Olga, as she was often billed, was another one of those performers who lived to regret being involved in freaks. Her real name was Jane Barnell, and in later years she did give one interview where she said she thought freaks was an insult to circus performers everywhere and wished she had never appeared in it.
Some of the bearded ladies, certainly not all of them, were female impersonators. Now there are a good many actual bona fide hirsute women that worked as bearded ladies in sideshows.
She was a very political, she was a socialist, and had very strong views on things. And she used to work, towards the end of her career, she worked at Hubert's Museum on 42nd Street. And she was not a terribly friendly, happy woman. And of all the people that worked on this movie, she was the most vocal in her dislike of the whole thing.
As Tod Browning, gets across in this film, offend one and you offend them all. But in the case of making freaks, Browning found that they all had their own very strong individual egos and personalities and agendas. And apparently Olga Roderick had a particularly oversized impression of herself.
There's the scene where she's giving birth to Peter Robinson's baby, and they kind of make some reference that, I love girls, like I'm going to have a beard like the mother. And she doesn't look terribly happy about doing this.
What is it? Yeah. Oh, boy, that's great. It's going to have a beard.
I don't know if it just comes with the territory of women with beards. It's certainly not the one that I work with, Jeniffer Miller.
I was growing my beard long before I worked in the sideshow. And so I always had this image of the bearded lady as kind of, this little icon sitting on my shoulder, battling with me and how I was seen in the world. So when the opportunity came to, when I was sort of invited, enticed to come work in the sideshow, I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to meet this person, this image, this history that I'd been in dialogue with, sort of face to face, the image of this. So I went in and gave it a try, and it was certainly very interesting to be letting myself be called a bearded lady or a woman with a beard. I am okay with the concept that Lady Olga worked in the sideshow. Sure, certainly she, first of all, lived in a very different time. And I feel a sisterhood with her as well. She might have been on some level making the same choice I was. The world seems to be treating me well these days. Of course, it's a big world. And so there are, how many encounters in a day in the world are there for me to relate to you? It's still upsetting to some people, this confusion, this gender confusion, which brings up, why am I making this choice? People ultimately understand this is a choice, right? They know there are ways to get rid of hair. And so they're wondering, why am I doing that? What's the challenge and who am I?